The sleek black car pulled up to the gleaming glass building of Pinnacle Partners right at 9 a.m. Jasmine Reynolds straightened her tailored navy suit jacket and checked her reflection in the rearview mirror one last time. Today was big, possibly the biggest deal of her career as CEO of Horizon Technologies. "You've got this," she told herself, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. The driver opened her door. "Good luck today, Ms. Reynolds." "Thanks, Ray. I should be done by noon," she said with a confident smile that hid the butterflies in her stomach. Jasmine had built Horizon Technologies from a small startup into a powerhouse over 8 years. What began as a tiny office with just 3 employees had grown into a company valued at over $850 million. Their innovative security software had changed the industry, and now they were ready to expand. Pinnacle Partners wasn't just any company. They were old money, established players in the tech investment world. Their backing would help Horizon scale globally. But Jasmine wasn't naive. She knew she'd face scrutiny beyond just her business plan. As one of the few black women CEOs in the tech industry, she'd grown used to being underestimated. The lobby of Pinnacle Partners screamed old wealth, marble floors, mahogany reception desk, and paintings by artists Jasmine recognized from museum visits. She approached the front desk where a young woman with perfectly straight blonde hair was typing away. "Good morning," Jasmine said. "I'm here for the 9:15 meeting with Mr. Gregory and the investment team." The receptionist looked up and gave a practiced smile that didn't reach her eyes. "And who shall I say is here?" "Jasmine Reynolds, CEO of Horizon Technologies." The receptionist's eyes flickered with something. Surprise? Doubt? Before her professional mask slipped back into place. "One moment, please." Jasmine watched as the woman picked up the phone and spoke in hushed tones. She caught phrases like, "Says she's the CEO, and should I send her up?" Despite years of success and recognition, these small moments still stung. After hanging up, the receptionist directed Jasmine to take a seat in the waiting area. "Someone will be down shortly." The leather chairs were comfortable, but Jasmine didn't sit. Instead, she reviewed notes on her tablet while standing, occasionally glancing at the wall of achievements Pinnacle had proudly displayed. Awards, newspaper clippings, photos of their founders, all older white men in expensive suits, shaking hands with politicians and celebrities. 5 minutes later, the elevator dinged. A young man who couldn't be more than 30 stepped out. His haircut probably cost more than some people's monthly rent, and his suit was clearly tailored to his slim frame. "Ms. Reynolds?" he asked, extending his hand. "Tyler Bennett, junior partner. I'm here to escort you up." Jasmine shook his hand firmly. "Nice to meet you, Tyler. I'm looking forward to the meeting." As they rode the elevator to the 42nd floor, Tyler made small talk about the weather and traffic. But Jasmine noticed how his eyes kept darting to her, as if trying to solve a puzzle. When they stepped out onto the executive floor, she could see the main conference room through glass walls. Inside, several men in suits were gathered around a long table, with folders and coffee cups in front of them. "Your team is already here, I believe," Tyler said, pointing to the room where Jasmine could see her CFO David and COO Priya sitting at one end of the table. Jasmine started walking toward the conference room. "Oh, Ms. Reynolds," Tyler said, touching her elbow lightly. "Would you mind waiting outside for just a moment? The team needs to prepare for the presentation, and Mr. Gregory likes to welcome CEOs personally." Jasmine stopped, turned slowly, and looked at Tyler. His smile seemed genuine, but something felt off. She glanced through the glass again and saw her own team looking confused as they watched this interaction. "Is there a problem?" she asked calmly. "Not at all," Tyler assured her with a dismissive wave. "Just protocol. There's a nice waiting area right here with some excellent coffee. It'll just be a few minutes while we get everything ready for the actual CEO presentation." Jasmine took a slow breath. She'd been here before. The assumptions, the subtle redirections, the disbelief that she could be who she said she was. She checked her watch, a gift from her father when she secured her first $1 million in funding, and nodded. "I see. And where are the other members of my team waiting?" she asked, knowing full well they were already inside. Tyler blinked. "Oh, they're just helping set up some of the technical aspects. IT connections and such." A complete lie. David and Priya handled finances and operations, not tech setup. Jasmine's tech lead wasn't even at this meeting. I understand, Jasmine said, her voice measured. She glanced at her watch again. I'll wait right here, then. Tyler smiled with visible relief. Excellent. Can I get you anything? Coffee, water? Water would be fine, she replied. As Tyler hurried off, Jasmine pulled out her phone and sent a quick text to Priya. What's happening in there? Within seconds, her phone buzzed with a response. They didn't think you were coming personally. They're scrambling. Gregory keeps referring to the CEO guy and asked us when he would arrive. Should we correct them? Jasmine felt a familiar tightness in her chest. Not anxiety, but the controlled anger she'd learned to channel productively over years of similar situations. She texted back, No, let them figure it out. I'm apparently waiting for the actual CEO presentation. Junior partner's words, not mine. Priya's response was immediate. WTF? Want us to walk out? No, Jasmine replied. Keep listening. What are they saying? As she waited for Priya's response, Jasmine observed the office around her. Photos on the wall showed Pinnacle's leadership at charity galas, golf tournaments, and ribbon cuttings. Not a single face of color among them. The waiting area where she stood had been mentioned as having excellent coffee, but there wasn't even a coffee machine in sight. Her phone buzzed again with multiple messages from Priya. They're questioning our valuation. Gregory said he's skeptical of the leadership structure. Someone just said they heard the CEO was different but didn't expect this kind of different. They're pulling up articles about you now. Looking surprised, Jasmine's grip tightened on her phone. This wasn't just about her. It was about her company, her employees, the years of work she'd put in. The fact that these men couldn't conceive of someone who looked like her leading a successful tech company spoke volumes about whether Pinnacle was the right partner for Horizon. Tyler returned with a bottle of water. Here you go. It should just be a few more minutes. Thank you, Tyler, Jasmine said, accepting the water. She checked her watch again. 5 minutes had passed since she'd been asked to wait. Just to be clear, the meeting was scheduled for 9:15, correct? Yes, but these things always run a little behind, Tyler said with an apologetic shrug. Her phone buzzed with another text from Priya. They're talking about offering less than we asked. Said something about testing if she really has what it takes to play in the big leagues. 2 more minutes passed as Jasmine stood there, sipping water and watching through the glass as men in the conference room spoke animatedly, occasionally glancing in her direction. She could see David and Priya sitting stiffly, their faces professional but eyes flashing with barely contained anger. 7 minutes had now passed since she'd been told to wait. 7 minutes of being undermined, underestimated, and dismissed. Jasmine checked her appearance one last time, deleted the text conversation with Priya, and straightened her shoulders. Her father always told her that sometimes respect had to be taken, not asked for. This was one of those moments. As Tyler approached again, likely with another excuse, Jasmine smiled at him. Not the polite, professional smile she'd worn earlier, but the confident smile of someone who knew exactly what she was worth. Thank you for the water, Tyler, she said. The 7 minutes are up. Jasmine's phone vibrated in her hand as she stood in the waiting area. Another text from Priya lit up the screen. They just said they want to feel out how much you really know about tech. Planning to ask basic questions to test you. Gregory called it due diligence, but his tone was condescending. The message only confirmed what Jasmine had already suspected. This wasn't about protocol or preparation. This was about prejudice dressed up in business casual. She glanced through the glass walls again. The men inside were laughing now, seemingly at ease. One of them made a gesture with his hands that mimicked someone speaking too much, and the others chuckled. David, her CFO, was staring at his laptop with clenched jaw, while Priya kept typing on her phone, presumably updating Jasmine. Another text came through. BTW, did you know we're meeting with them to discuss a potential partnership? Because they think they're interviewing us for investment. Gregory just said something about taking a controlling stake to provide proper guidance. Jasmine nearly laughed out loud. The audacity was almost impressive. Pinnacle thought this meeting was about them possibly investing in Horizon. They had completely misunderstood the purpose of today's discussion. The truth was much different. Horizon wasn't here looking for money. After their latest round of private funding, Horizon was flush with cash and looking to grow through acquisition. Pinnacle had a software security division that was underperforming, but had potential with the right leadership. Horizon wanted to buy it, streamline it, and fold it into their expanding suite of products. Jasmine had been clear about this in all the preliminary emails, which had been exchanged with Gregory's assistant. Either the information hadn't been passed along or they had seen the name Horizon Technologies with a black woman as CEO and made their own assumptions. Her phone buzzed yet again. This time it was David. "You should know they've pulled up your LinkedIn and are discussing your background. One guy just said community college to CEO seems suspect. Should I tell them about your Harvard MBA and your patents?" Jasmine took a deep breath. She hadn't gone to community college, not that there would be anything wrong if she had, but she'd earned her undergraduate degree at MIT and her MBA at Harvard. The fact that they couldn't be bothered to read her profile correctly spoke volumes. She texted back, "No, let them keep digging their hole." As she waited, Jasmine opened her own laptop and pulled up some files. Specifically, she looked at the other potential acquisitions her team had researched. SecureTech was Pinnacle's main competitor in the security software space, and though their asking price was higher, their corporate culture was known to be more innovative and inclusive. The CEO, Richard Wong, had reached out several times expressing interest in working with Horizon. Another text from Priya. "OMG, they just pulled up our financials and one of them said, 'These numbers can't be right when looking at our growth rate.' Said there must be creative accounting happening." Jasmine felt her patience wearing increasingly thin. Horizon's financials had been audited by one of the most respected firms in the country. Their growth rate was exceptional because their products were exceptional, and her leadership was exceptional. She scrolled through her email and found Richard Wong's last message. Perhaps it was time to revisit that conversation. Tyler approached again, his smile a bit more strained this time. "Ms. Reynolds, I'm so sorry for the wait. Just a few more minutes." "It's been 7 minutes already, Tyler," Jasmine said calmly. "Yes? Well, these things happen," he replied with a nervous laugh. "Mr. Gregory is very particular about preparations." "I understand," Jasmine said. "While we wait, could you clarify something for me? It seems there might be some confusion about the purpose of today's meeting." Tyler blinked rapidly. "The purpose? Well, I believe Mr. Gregory is interested in learning more about Horizon's potential and discussing how Pinnacle might help guide your company to the next level." Just as she suspected, they thought they were the ones with the power here. "I see," Jasmine said simply. "That's very interesting." Her phone buzzed again. "David this time. They're discussing what percentage they might offer us. Gregory just said they should be grateful for whatever we offer. Companies like these usually don't get meetings with firms of our caliber." Companies like these. The implication was clear enough. Jasmine felt a shift inside herself. She had come to this meeting prepared to be professional, fair, and open-minded about acquiring Pinnacle's security division. She had even prepared a generous offer that would have allowed several of their key developers to continue with the projects they'd started. But now, she realized this wasn't just a business decision. It was a moral one too. Another text from Priya. "One of them just asked us if you really founded the company, or if you were brought in for optics." David almost lost it. Jasmine had indeed founded Horizon from scratch. She'd written the initial code for their flagship product herself, maxed out 3 credit cards to hire her first employees, worked out of her apartment for the first year, and didn't take a salary for 18 months. Every bit of Horizon's success had her fingerprints on it. She closed her eyes for a moment, thinking about all the late nights, the rejected loan applications, the investors who wouldn't meet with her, the competitors who tried to poach her employees, the journalists who asked about her hair instead of her business strategy. She thought about her parents who had both been teachers, saving every penny to put her through college, believing that education would create a level playing field. She thought about her younger sister who looked up to her, and all the young black girls who'd written to her after her feature in Tech Forward magazine. Jasmine opened her eyes with newfound clarity. This meeting wasn't just about business anymore. It was about recognizing who deserved her company's resources and respect. She glanced at her watch again. 7 minutes had now stretched to 10. Through the glass, she could see one of the Pinnacle partners showing something on his phone to the others, who were smirking. David and Priya sat stone-faced across from them. Jasmine typed out a quick email to Richard Wong. "Richard, are you available for a meeting tomorrow?" I'd like to revisit our previous conversation about a potential acquisition. Horizon is ready to move quickly with the right partner. She hit send just as Tyler approached again. Ms. Reynolds, they're ready for you now, he said, gesturing toward the conference room. Thank you, Tyler, Jasmine replied, gathering her things. I appreciate your patience with me. The confusion on his face almost made her smile. He clearly didn't know how to interpret her comment. Was she being sincere or sarcastic? That uncertainty was exactly what she wanted. As they walked toward the conference room, Jasmine received one last text. This one wasn't from her team but from Richard Wong himself, responding to her email with remarkable speed. Absolutely. Name the time. We're excited about the possibility of joining forces with Horizon. Jasmine put her phone away as Tyler opened the door to the conference room. The chatter inside immediately died down as all eyes turned to her. She could see the moment of realization dawn on several faces. This was the CEO they had been discussing, the person they had dismissed and underestimated sight unseen, Mr. Gregory. A silver-haired man at the head of the table stood up with a practiced smile. Ah, you must be Ms. Reynolds' assistant. Is she running late? Jasmine extended her hand, her gaze steady and unflinching. Mr. Gregory, I'm Jasmine Reynolds, founder and CEO of Horizon Technologies. I believe we have a lot to discuss. The room fell silent. David and Priya both had the smallest hints of smiles on their faces. They knew that tone in Jasmine's voice. It was the tone she used when she had made up her mind about something important. And in the 10 minutes she had been kept waiting outside, Jasmine Reynolds had indeed made up her mind about Pinnacle Partners. The decision crystallized with perfect clarity. These were not the kind of people she wanted to do business with. These were not the kind of people who deserved to benefit from Horizon's success. In fact, as Jasmine took her seat at the table, she realized she wasn't there to acquire their security division anymore. She was there to deliver a lesson they wouldn't soon forget. The conference room fell into an uncomfortable silence as Jasmine took her seat next to Priya and David. The plush leather chair felt cool against her back as she placed her laptop on the table and opened it with deliberate slowness. She could feel the weight of everyone's stares, their surprise poorly masked behind professional smiles. Mr. Gregory recovered first, clearing his throat as he settled back into his chair at the head of the table. His silver hair caught the light from the floor-to-ceiling windows that showcased the city skyline behind him. Well, this is certainly a surprise, he said with a chuckle that sounded forced. We were expecting... Well, frankly, we didn't realize you would be joining us personally, Ms. Reynolds. Jasmine smiled politely. I always handle important meetings myself, Mr. Gregory, especially when considering potential acquisitions. The word acquisitions hung in the air. Several of the partners exchanged glances. Perhaps there's been some misunderstanding, said a man with wire-rimmed glasses who sat to Gregory's right. I'm Robert Winters, head of our investment division. We were under the impression that Horizon was seeking investment capital from Pinnacle. Actually, Jasmine replied, her voice calm and measured, as I stated clearly in our preliminary correspondence, Horizon is interested in acquiring Pinnacle's security software division. We believe with the right leadership and integration into our existing product line, it could be quite valuable. Another uncomfortable silence fell over the room. Jasmine could almost hear the mental recalibration happening around the table. She opened a document on her laptop, a detailed analysis of Pinnacle's security division, its strengths, weaknesses, market position, and most importantly, its potential under Horizon's management. Gregory leaned forward, his brow furrowed. I think there's been a communication error. Pinnacle doesn't sell off its divisions. We acquire promising companies and help them grow under our guidance. I understand that's been your model, Jasmine replied. But sometimes changing circumstances require changing strategies. She turned her laptop around so that everyone could see the screen. It displayed a graph showing the declining performance of Pinnacle's security division over the past 3 years, contrasted with Horizon's meteoric rise during the same period. Your security division has lost market share for 12 consecutive quarters, Jasmine continued. Meanwhile, Horizon has grown by an average of 27% year over year. We're now in a position to acquire complementary businesses that align with our long-term vision. The man named Winters removed his glasses and pinched the bridge of his nose. These numbers? Where did you get this information? Public financial disclosures. David spoke up for the first time. plus market analysis from 3 independent firms. The trend is consistent across all reports. Jasmine watched as the men around the table shifted uncomfortably. She knew they weren't just processing the business proposition. They were processing the fact that they had completely misread the situation. And worse, they had misjudged her. Even if these numbers are accurate, Gregory said with a dismissive wave, Pinnacle doesn't need to sell anything. We're one of the most stable investment firms in the country. Our security division may be experiencing a temporary downturn, but with the right infusion of capital. It's not about capital, Jasmine interrupted gently. It's about innovation and leadership. Your security products are falling behind because your development model is outdated. You're still focusing on perimeter defense when the market has moved to zero-trust architecture and AI-driven threat detection, areas where Horizon leads the industry. Tyler, the junior partner who had kept Jasmine waiting, looked genuinely interested for the first time. That's actually true. I've been saying we need to pivot to AI for months. An older partner shot Tyler a warning glance and he immediately fell silent. Jasmine noticed the exchange and made a mental note. Not everyone at Pinnacle was resistant to change. That could be useful information. Ms. Reynolds, Gregory said, his tone now more conciliatory. Perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. Why don't we start fresh? Tell us more about Horizon and your vision. It was a classic redirection technique. Jasmine had seen it countless times. When powerful people realize they've made a mistake, they try to reset the conversation as if the mistake never happened. But she hadn't come this far by allowing others to control the narrative. I'd be happy to share more about Horizon, she replied. But first I'd like to understand something. When I arrived today, I was asked to wait outside while my team was already seated in this room. Could someone explain why? The question landed like a stone dropped in still water. Ripples of discomfort spread visibly across faces around the table. Gregory's smile tightened. Just a mix-up with our reception staff. Nothing intentional, I assure you. A mix-up, Jasmine repeated. She turned to Tyler. Is that how you would characterize asking me to wait while you prepared for the actual CEO presentation? Tyler's face flushed red. That's not exactly what It's exactly what you said. Jasmine corrected him, her voice still calm but carrying an edge of steel now. And while I waited, my team members here were listening to discussions about my background, my credentials, and my company's financials, all of which were characterized with skepticism despite readily available facts. Priya nodded in confirmation. The Pinnacle partners looked increasingly uncomfortable. Jasmine continued, I mention this not to embarrass anyone, but because it speaks directly to why this potential acquisition might not be the right move for Horizon after all. What do you mean? Asked one of the partners who hadn't spoken yet. Instead of answering directly, Jasmine pulled up a new document on her laptop. Her original acquisition proposal, complete with financial projections, integration plans, and a generous retention package for key Pinnacle employees. This was the offer I came prepared to discuss today, she said, turning the laptop around again. A fair market value for the division, plus performance bonuses tied to successful integration milestones. The deal would have been good for Pinnacle's shareholders and would have provided new opportunities for your security team under Horizon's umbrella. Gregory leaned forward to examine the numbers, his eyebrows raising slightly. This is actually quite generous. It was, Jasmine agreed, emphasizing the past tense. She closed that document and opened another one. A spreadsheet comparing Pinnacle's security division with 3 other potential acquisition targets. One of them, highlighted in green, was SecureTech, Pinnacle's main competitor. However, given what I've observed about Pinnacle's corporate culture in just the short time I've been here, I've decided to pursue other opportunities instead. The statement hung in the air for a moment before its full meaning registered. Gregory's face darkened. You're withdrawing your offer because of a minor misunderstanding at reception? His tone suggested he found this both unprofessional and petty. Jasmine closed her laptop deliberately. I'm withdrawing because the way your organization responded to me, from reception to this conference room, revealed fundamental issues that would make integration of our companies problematic. When companies merge, it's not just products and services that need to align. It's values and culture too. That's absurd, Winters interjected. Business is business. Personal feelings shouldn't enter into it. Jasmine looked at him directly. This isn't about feelings, Mr. Winters, it's about judgment. In the 7 minutes I was kept waiting, your team made at least 5 incorrect assumptions about me, my company, and the purpose of this meeting, despite having all the relevant information available to you in advance. She gestured to David and Priya. My team heard comments questioning my credentials, our financial reporting, and even whether I actually founded the company I built from nothing. That's not just unprofessional, it's poor business judgment, and I don't partner with companies that demonstrate poor judgment. The room fell silent again. Several of the partners looked down at their notepads, unable to meet Jasmine's steady gaze. Ms. Reynolds, Gregory finally said, his tone now one of damage control. Clearly there have been some unfortunate misunderstandings today, but surely we can move past this. The deal you're proposing could be beneficial to both our companies. Let's not let a few careless comments derail what could be a productive partnership. Jasmine shook her head. That's where you're wrong, Mr. Gregory. These weren't just careless comments. They were revealing ones. They showed me exactly how Pinnacle operates when you think no one important is watching. And that's not a culture Horizon wants to absorb. She stood up, prompting David and Priya to do the same. Thank you for your time today, gentlemen. I wish you all the best. Wait, Tyler said suddenly, looking alarmed. You can't just walk away from a deal of this size over something so trivial. Jasmine paused, her gaze sweeping the room one last time. 7 minutes might seem trivial to you, Tyler. But in business, just like in life, it's often the small moments that reveal the biggest truths. In those 7 minutes, I learned everything I needed to know about Pinnacle Partners. She gathered her laptop and nodded to her team. David, Priya, let's go. We have a meeting to schedule with Richard Wong at SecureTech. As they walked toward the door, Gregory called after them. You're making a mistake, Ms. Reynolds. Pinnacle is the premier investment firm in this sector. You won't find a better partner. Jasmine paused at the doorway and turned back. Actually, I already have. SecureTech has been innovating while your division has been stagnating. Their culture rewards creativity rather than conformity. And most importantly, when I met with their CEO last month, he didn't make me wait outside while he prepared for the actual CEO. With that, she walked out, her team following closely behind. As the glass door closed behind them, Jasmine could see the Pinnacle partners erupting into argument, gesturing angrily at each other as the magnitude of what had just happened sank in. In the elevator going down, David let out a low whistle. That was something else. You really pulled the plug on the whole deal? They pulled the plug themselves, Jasmine replied. They just didn't know it until I told them. Priya looked at her phone. Richard Wong already responded to your email. He can meet tomorrow morning, Jasmine nodded. Perfect. Draft a letter to our shareholders explaining the change in acquisition strategy. Emphasize that we're pursuing a partner whose values align more closely with Horizon's vision for the future. As they exited the building into the bright morning sunshine, Jasmine felt lighter somehow. She had come to Pinnacle prepared to make a business deal, but instead, she had made a different kind of decision. One that would shape not just Horizon's future, but perhaps the future of the entire industry. You know, David said as they walked toward their waiting car, I think you made the right call in there. Those guys didn't deserve to be part of what we're building. Jasmine smiled. It wasn't about what they deserved, David. It was about what Horizon deserves. Partners who respect what we've built and share our vision for where we're going. As Ray opened the car door for them, Jasmine took one last look at the towering Pinnacle building behind them. In business, as in life, sometimes the most powerful decision you could make was simply to walk away. The glass door to the conference room swung shut behind Jasmine with a soft click. The hallway outside was quiet, offering a stark contrast to the tension-filled room she'd just left. David and Priya walked beside her, matching her purposeful stride toward the elevator. That's not happening, Jasmine said suddenly, stopping in her tracks. David glanced at her. What's not happening? We're not walking away. Not yet. Jasmine turned on her heel. They need to understand exactly why this deal fell apart. Otherwise, nothing changes. Priya raised an eyebrow. You're going back in there? Yes, Jasmine replied. And this time I'm going to be completely clear about why their company is losing to their competitors. And it's not just about their outdated software. Without waiting for a response, Jasmine walked back to the conference room, her heels clicking decisively on the marble floor. Through the glass walls, she could see the Pinnacle partners arguing among themselves, faces flushed with anger and embarrassment. She pushed the door open and stepped back inside. The room fell instantly silent. "Ms. Reynolds," Gregory said, recovering quickly. "I'm glad you've reconsidered. Please, let's discuss." "I haven't reconsidered the deal," Jasmine interrupted, her voice firm but not angry. "But I realized I owed you something before I left." "Owed us what?" Winters asked suspiciously. "Honesty," Jasmine replied. She set her laptop down but remained standing. "You've all had a lot to say about me and my company today, most of it incorrect. Now I'd like to share some facts about Horizon Technologies that you clearly don't know, and some observations about Pinnacle that you might not want to hear." The partners exchanged wary glances, but no one objected. Jasmine took that as permission to continue. "First, the facts about Horizon," she said, opening her laptop again. She pulled up a presentation she had prepared for the original acquisition meeting, a detailed overview of Horizon's growth, achievements, and industry impact. Horizon Technologies was founded 8 years ago in my apartment with $50,000 in savings and maxed-out credit cards. Our first product was security software that I designed and coded myself, based on research I conducted for my doctoral dissertation at MIT, not community college, as someone in this room incorrectly stated. She clicked through to a slide showing Horizon's growth trajectory. In our first year, we generated $2.7 million in revenue. By year 3, we hit $18 million. Last year, our revenue was $127 million with a 32% profit margin, well above industry average. Jasmine continued through the presentation, highlighting key innovations, patents, client retention rates, and industry awards. With each statistic, she could see the partners' expressions shifting from skepticism to grudging respect. Our latest round of private funding valued Horizon at $850 million, she said, pausing on a slide that showed their impressive investor list. Every one of these firms performed extensive due diligence before writing their checks. Not one of them questioned whether our numbers were creative accounting, as was suggested in this room earlier. Gregory at least had the grace to look uncomfortable at that. "Now, about Pinnacle," Jasmine continued, switching to a different set of slides. These showed market share comparisons between Pinnacle's security division and its top competitors, including SecureTech. The downward trend for Pinnacle was unmistakable. Your security division has been losing market share for 12 consecutive quarters. The question is why? It's not your core technology. You actually have solid foundational code. It's not your development team. You have talented people. It's your company culture. She clicked to a slide showing employee turnover rates. Your division loses top talent at twice the industry average rate. Exit interviews, which are publicly available through sites like Glassdoor, consistently cite an outdated management style and resistance to innovation as primary reasons for leaving. Tyler, the junior partner, leaned forward with interest. Several of the older partners glared at him, but he didn't back down this time. "These aren't just my observations," Jasmine clarified. "These are data points that any potential business partner or investor would examine. And what they reveal is a company that's falling behind, not because it lacks resources, but because it lacks vision and adaptability." Winters removed his glasses, clearly agitated. "This is highly presumptuous. You've spent, 30 minutes in our offices, and you think you can diagnose all our problems?" "I didn't need 30 minutes, Jasmine replied calmly. "The 7 minutes I spent waiting outside this room told me everything I needed to know. When your team saw a black woman claiming to be a CEO, your immediate assumption was that there must be some mistake. When presented with facts about Horizon's success, your immediate reaction was suspicion rather than curiosity. These aren't just social faux pas, gentlemen. They're business blind spots." She closed her laptop and looked directly at Gregory. "You're so certain about how the world works and who belongs where in it that you missed a major business opportunity. While you were busy questioning my credentials, you failed to notice that the power dynamic in this room was exactly the opposite of what you assumed. Horizon doesn't need Pinnacle's money or approval, but Pinnacle's security division desperately needs what Horizon has to offer." The room fell silent. Gregory's face had turned a deep shade of red, but he seemed at a loss for words. "Ms. Reynolds," Tyler said, breaking the silence. Everything you're saying aligns with concerns I've raised in our internal meetings for months. Our culture is costing us talent and market share. Be quiet, Tyler, Gregory snapped. No, Tyler responded firmly. She's right. And pretending otherwise is just going to accelerate our decline. Jasmine gave Tyler an appraising look. Perhaps not everyone at Pinnacle was resistant to change after all. Look, she said, addressing the room. I didn't come back in here to embarrass anyone. I came because good business means being clear about why decisions are made. Horizon is walking away from this potential acquisition, not because I was personally offended, but because what happened today revealed fundamental incompatibilities between our company's values and vision. She gestured to the performance chart still visible on her laptop. These trends don't lie. Companies with cultures that resist diversity of thought, experience, and background consistently underperform in the long run. It's not about being politically correct. It's about being business smart. The most successful companies are those that can recognize talent and opportunity regardless of what package they come in. Gregory had regained his composure somewhat. While I appreciate your candid assessment, Ms. Reynolds, I think you're overreacting to what was simply a miscommunication. If we could just— It wasn't a miscommunication, Jasmine said firmly. It was a revelation. And it's not just about how you treated me today. It's about what that treatment reveals about how Pinnacle operates, the assumptions you make, the voices you value, the ideas you dismiss before giving them a fair hearing. That kind of culture would be toxic to the innovative spirit that drives Horizon's success. She turned to address Tyler directly. Not everyone here shares those limitations. Some of you clearly see what's happening. But until that perspective becomes the norm rather than the exception at Pinnacle, our companies are not compatible partners. Winters cleared his throat. You make some fair points about our market position, Ms. Reynolds. Perhaps we could discuss a more limited partnership arrangement rather than a full acquisition? Something that would allow us to benefit from Horizon's innovative approach while maintaining our autonomy? Jasmine considered this for a moment, then shook her head. I appreciate the offer, but no. The issue isn't the structure of the deal. It's the culture clash that would inevitably follow. Horizon has worked too hard to build what we have. We won't risk it by trying to force compatibility where none exists. She gathered her laptop and prepared to leave again. For what it's worth, I hope today serves as a wake-up call. Pinnacle has the resources and talent to turn things around. If you're willing to honestly confront the blind spots that are holding you back. As she turned to go, Gregory stood up. Ms. Reynolds, wait. What would it take to change your mind? Name your price. Jasmine paused at the door and looked back at him. That's exactly the problem, Mr. Gregory. You still think this is about money. It's not. It's about values. And those aren't for sale. With that, she walked out, David and Priya following close behind. This time, no one called after them. In the elevator, David exhaled slowly. Well, that was even more intense than the first exit. You really laid it all out there. They needed to hear it, Jasmine replied. Whether they listen is up to them. Priya was checking her phone. News travels fast. Richard Wong just sent another email. He's offering to clear his entire day for our meeting tomorrow. Jasmine nodded. Tell him we'll be there at 9 a.m. sharp. And Priya, make sure our offer includes positions for some of Pinnacle's security team. There are good people there being held back by an outdated culture. You mean like Tyler? David asked. Like Tyler, Jasmine confirmed. He was willing to speak truth to power even when it was uncomfortable. That's exactly the kind of thinking we value at Horizon. As they exited the building into the bright sunshine, Ray was waiting with the car door open. Back to the office, Ms. Reynolds? Yes, Ray, Jasmine replied. We have a busy afternoon ahead. We're changing course on our acquisition strategy. As the car pulled away from Pinnacle's imposing glass tower, Jasmine felt a mixture of emotions: disappointment at the wasted opportunity, anger at the prejudice she'd encountered, but also a sense of clarity and purpose. Today's meeting hadn't gone as planned, but perhaps it had gone exactly as it needed to. Her phone buzzed with a text from her sister. How did the big meeting go? Jasmine smiled as she typed her response. Not as expected, but sometimes the best decisions are the ones you never planned to make. Looking out the window at the city skyline, Jasmine thought about all the meetings like this one that had come before, all the times she'd been underestimated, dismissed, or made to wait. Each of those experiences had taught her something valuable, strengthened her resolve, and clarified her vision for what kind of company Horizon would be. Today was just another lesson. And tomorrow would be another opportunity to build something better. David, she said, turning to her CFO, call a company-wide meeting for this afternoon. I want to talk to the team about our core values and how they guide our business decisions. You got it, David replied. Any specific points you want to emphasize? Jasmine thought about the 7 minutes she'd spent waiting outside Pinnacle's conference room, and about the decision that had crystallized during that short span of time. Yes, she said finally. I want to talk about integrity, vision, and the courage to walk away from the wrong opportunities so we can be ready for the right ones. As the car continued toward Horizon's headquarters, Jasmine felt more certain than ever that today's confrontation, uncomfortable as it had been, was a defining moment not just for her, but for the future of her company. Some lessons couldn't be learned any other way. 3 days after walking out of Pinnacle Partners, Jasmine sat in a different conference room with a very different atmosphere. Richard Wong, CEO of SecureTech, was reviewing the acquisition proposal with his leadership team. Unlike the stuffy formality of Pinnacle, this meeting had a collaborative energy that felt refreshing. These terms are more than fair, Richard said, looking up from his tablet. Your offer preserves our core projects and keeps our team intact. It's exactly the kind of respectful partnership we hoped for. Jasmine nodded. That's important to us. We're not just buying technology, we're bringing together people and cultures. The transition needs to honor the work your team has already put in. Richard's eyes crinkled as he smiled. Speaking of transitions, have you heard what's happening at Pinnacle? It's all over the industry news this morning. Jasmine raised an eyebrow. She'd been so focused on finalizing the SecureTech deal that she hadn't checked the business headlines. No, what's going on? Their stock dropped 12% yesterday, Richard said, turning his tablet around to show her a dramatic downward graph. Apparently, word got out that you pulled the plug on acquiring their security division and chose us instead. The market took it as a vote of no confidence. David, who was sitting beside Jasmine, pulled up the story on his phone. He's right. There's speculation that other potential partners are also reconsidering deals with Pinnacle. Their biggest clients are getting nervous. Jasmine took a moment to absorb this information. She hadn't intended to hurt Pinnacle's business. She'd simply made the right decision for Horizon. But in today's interconnected business world, such decisions could have far-reaching consequences. That wasn't my goal, she said finally. I just couldn't partner with a company whose culture was so fundamentally misaligned with ours. Of course, Richard agreed. But you're not just any CEO, Jasmine. You've built Horizon into one of the most respected names in tech security. When you choose not to do business with someone, people notice. The meeting continued productively, with both teams working through the details of the acquisition. By the end, they had a solid agreement that would combine SecureTech's innovative research team with Horizon's industry-leading products and distribution channels. The deal was set to close within 30 days. As they wrapped up, Jasmine received a notification on her phone. It was a message from an unknown number. Ms. Reynolds, this is Tyler Bennett from Pinnacle. I was wondering if we could meet for coffee. There's something I'd like to discuss. Curious? Jasmine agreed to meet Tyler that afternoon at a cafe halfway between their respective offices. The cafe was busy with the lunch crowd when Jasmine arrived. She spotted Tyler at a corner table nervously fidgeting with his coffee cup. He looked different outside the Pinnacle offices, younger, more approachable, without the artificial confidence he'd projected during their previous meeting. Ms. Reynolds, he said, standing to greet her. Thank you for coming. I wasn't sure you would. Call me Jasmine, she replied, setting her purse down and taking a seat. And I was curious about what you wanted to discuss. Tyler took a deep breath. First, I want to apologize for how you were treated at Pinnacle. What happened was inexcusable, and I was part of it. Jasmine appreciated his directness. Thank you for saying that. But I get the feeling you didn't ask me here just to apologize. No, Tyler admitted. I wanted to let you know that after you left, things got intense. Gregory and Winters had a massive argument. The entire investment committee got involved. Questions were raised about our overall strategy and leadership approach. "That sounds uncomfortable," Jasmine observed. Tyler nodded. "It was, but it was also necessary. Your visit exposed problems that had been brewing for years. The declining performance of our security division isn't just a blip. It's a symptom of deeper issues with how we operate." He took a sip of his coffee before continuing. "Yesterday, the board called an emergency meeting. They've asked Gregory to take early retirement. Winters is being reassigned, and they've appointed a committee to review our company culture and hiring practices." Jasmine was surprised by the speed of these changes. "All that in just 3 days? Your walking out was the catalyst," Tyler explained. "But the numbers don't lie. Our security division has been underperforming for years. When the board dug into the reasons why, they found exactly what you pointed out: an outdated culture that resists innovation and lacks diversity of thought." He pulled out his tablet and showed her an internal memo. "They've asked me to lead a task force on modernizing our approach to both technology and talent. It's a huge opportunity, but honestly, I'm not sure where to start." Jasmine studied Tyler thoughtfully. Despite his initial participation in the dismissive treatment she'd received, he'd been the only one at Pinnacle to speak up when she confronted them with the truth. That took courage. "Why are you telling me all this?" she asked. Tyler hesitated. "Because I admire what you've built at Horizon. Not just the technology, but the culture. And because I thought, maybe, you might be willing to share some insights on how to drive change in an organization resistant to it." Jasmine considered his request. Her initial instinct was to politely decline. After all, Pinnacle had shown her nothing but disrespect. Why should she help them improve? But then she thought about the bigger picture. Technology security affected everyone: businesses, governments, individuals. A stronger, more innovative industry benefited all. And if Pinnacle could genuinely change, that was good for the whole ecosystem. "I can't give you a roadmap," she said finally. "Every company's journey is different. But I can share a few principles that guided Horizon's development." Tyler pulled out a notebook, eager to listen. "First," Jasmine began, "innovation requires psychological safety. People need to know they can share ideas, even unconventional ones, without fear of ridicule or retribution." Tyler nodded, taking notes. "That's definitely been a problem at Pinnacle. New ideas often get shot down if they come from junior team members." "Second," Jasmine continued, "diversity isn't just about checking boxes. It's about bringing together different perspectives, experiences, and thinking styles. That's where breakthrough innovations come from." "And third," she said, leaning forward slightly, "leadership sets the tone. If the people at the top aren't modeling the values and behaviors you want to see, nothing else matters. Cultural change has to start from the top, but it needs champions at every level." They talked for over an hour, with Jasmine sharing honest insights about building an innovative culture, and Tyler asking thoughtful questions. By the time they finished their coffee, Jasmine had a newfound respect for the young executive. He genuinely wanted to drive positive change at Pinnacle. "Thank you for this," Tyler said sincerely as they prepared to leave. "I know you had every reason to write Pinnacle off entirely," Jasmine smiled. "Sometimes the greatest opportunities for growth come from our most difficult moments. What happened in that conference room was uncomfortable for everyone, but maybe it needed to happen." As she walked back to her office, Jasmine reflected on the unexpected ripple effects of her decision. What had begun as a simple business meeting had catalyzed change not just for Horizon, but potentially for an entire corner of the industry. 2 weeks later, Jasmine stood before Horizon's assembled staff in their headquarters main auditorium. The company had grown so much that not everyone could fit in the space. Some teams joined via video link from overflow rooms and remote offices. "As many of you have already heard," she began, "our acquisition of SecureTech was finalized this morning. I'm thrilled to welcome their incredible team to the Horizon family." Applause filled the room. On stage beside Jasmine, Richard Wong waved in acknowledgement. "This partnership expands our capabilities in ways that will benefit our clients around the world," Jasmine continued. "But today I want to talk about something even more fundamental than business growth. I want to talk about values and how they guide our decisions, especially the difficult ones." She briefly recounted the experience at Pinnacle, without naming the company directly. She explained how a seemingly routine business meeting had evolved into a crucial moment of decision about who Horizon would partner with and why. It would have been easier to ignore the red flags, she admitted. The deal looked good on paper. But at Horizon, we've always believed that how we do business is as important as what business we do. Jasmine clicked to a slide showing Horizon's core values: innovation, integrity, inclusion, impact. These aren't just words on our website, she said. They're principles that guide every decision we make, from who we hire to how we develop products to which companies we partner with. Sometimes honoring these values means walking away from opportunities that don't align with who we are and who we want to be. She clicked to the next slide, which announced a new initiative, the Horizon Inclusive Innovation Fund. Today, I'm proud to announce that Horizon is committing $10 million to support startups founded by entrepreneurs from underrepresented backgrounds. We're also implementing a completely blind review process for all future acquisitions and partnerships, focusing purely on innovation, market potential, and cultural alignment before any in-person meetings occur. The announcement was met with enthusiastic applause. Jasmine had been working on this initiative for months, but the experience at Pinnacle had accelerated her timeline. We're also revamping our internship program to create pathways for talented students from communities traditionally underrepresented in tech, because we recognize that building the future requires voices and perspectives from everyone who will live in that future. After the presentation, as staff members mingled and chatted excitedly about the new initiatives, Jasmine's phone buzzed with a news alert. She opened it to find a Business Journal article with the headline, "Pinnacle Partners Announces Major Reorganization, New Diversity Initiatives Following Stock Decline." Article mentioned that Pinnacle was implementing blind review processes for investment opportunities and had appointed their first-ever Chief Diversity Officer. Near the bottom of the article was a quote from rising star executive Tyler Bennett, who cited a transformative interaction with a respected industry leader as the catalyst for change. Jasmine smiled and put her phone away. The outcome wasn't what she had expected when she walked into Pinnacle's offices that day, but perhaps it was even better. Rather than simply acquiring one company's security division, she had inadvertently sparked change across multiple organizations. David approached, champagne glass in hand. "Quite a day, huh? Secure Tech deal closed, new initiatives launched, and now Pinnacle trying to play catch-up with their own diversity program." "It's not about catching up," Jasmine replied thoughtfully. "It's about moving forward, all of us together." "Still," David said with a grin, "I bet Gregory choked on his morning coffee when he had to approve that press release." Jasmine laughed. "Maybe, but I hope he's learning something too. We all have blind spots, David. The question is whether we're willing to recognize them and do the work to overcome them." As the celebration continued around them, Jasmine took a moment to reflect on the journey that had brought her here. From coding in her apartment to leading a company of hundreds, she had faced countless closed doors, dismissive comments, and skeptical looks. Each time, she had a choice: let it defeat her or use it as fuel to push forward. She had consistently chosen the latter, not just for herself but for everyone who would come after her. Every barrier she broke down made the path a little clearer for the next person. 6 months later, Horizon and SecureTech had fully integrated their operations, creating a security platform that quickly became the industry standard. The company's value had grown to over $1 billion, making Jasmine one of the few black women to lead a tech unicorn. More importantly to Jasmine, the Horizon Inclusive Innovation Fund had already invested in 12 promising startups, creating opportunities for founders who might otherwise have been overlooked by traditional venture capital. And at an industry conference, she found herself seated next to Tyler Bennett, who had recently been promoted to head of innovation strategy at the newly reorganized Pinnacle Partners. The company had undergone significant changes, with new leadership and a renewed focus on fostering an inclusive culture. "Our blind review process has completely changed our investment portfolio," Tyler told her enthusiastically. "We're backing companies we would have missed before, and the performance numbers are already showing the difference." Jasmine nodded, genuinely pleased to hear about the positive changes. "That's the thing about removing barriers," she said. "It doesn't just benefit those who were previously excluded, it improves outcomes for everyone." As she looked around the conference hall, filled with the industry's brightest minds and most innovative companies, Jasmine felt a deep sense of satisfaction. The security software sector was evolving, becoming more innovative and inclusive, and Horizon was leading the way, not just with cutting-edge technology, but with a vision for how business could be done better. 7 minutes of waiting outside a conference room had changed everything, not because of what had been done to her, but because of how she had chosen to respond, not with anger or resentment, but with clarity and conviction about the kind of company and the kind of industry she wanted to help build. As Jasmine prepared to take the stage for her keynote address, she thought about all the young entrepreneurs watching, especially the ones who looked like her, who might be wondering if there was a place for them in this industry. Her message to them would be simple but powerful. Don't wait outside. Walk in with confidence. And if the room isn't ready for what you bring to the table, don't be afraid to leave and build something better. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do isn't fighting to be included, it's choosing where to invest your brilliance. And sometimes the most effective way to change a broken system isn't from within, but by creating a better alternative that forces everyone else to catch up.